Forget all you know about podcasts. We welcome you to an experience uniquely different. Please join us for our coverage of all entertainment on the fringe of society. The candles are lit, the lights are down low. It is now time to welcome our host as he steps up to the pulpit. The sacrifice has been prepared for the midnight black mass.
Ghastly greetings, groovy ghoulies. Did you miss us? We're back on the Midnight Black Mass. It is I, the devil you know, the maniacal minister of the occult, the Reverend Dan Wilson, with the beginning of Volume 6 of our program. Volume 5 ended after 20-some-odd episodes. I believe it was 23. And certainly we set out to do a lot relating to the world of professional wrestling, dig deep with interviews, and we did that. But as you know, if you've been a long-time listener, the podcast is always evolving. It's always changing. I felt that there were a lot of people doing what I was doing, maybe a little bit better, maybe a little bit more renowned, and it's never me. It's never, I'm not one to stick around and be behind the pack. I like to be ahead of the curve. So I'm going to change things in a new direction here on the show. First of all, we're bringing on a co-host. So at this time, I want to bring him on right now. He's been a guest before multiple times. He's a dear friend of mine. He won lots of sweet accolades in Georgia Wrestling History Awards. He's now a behind-the-scenes player in professional wrestling, the matchmaker for Empire Wrestling, the former Hollywood Hacksaw, the Southeastern Strangler, the Wizard of Oz, Andrew Alexander. Welcome to the new co-host seat of the Midnight Black Mass, brother.
Man, I just can't live up to that build and talking about, going forward. I don't know, you may have taken a step back, got the host with the most and the co-host with the least. I've got no experience doing this stuff. I'm going to need you to carry me.
Hey, well, hey, that's never been a problem before, right?
I guess not. You were the anvil to my hitman. Maybe when we split, I will go on to greatness.
But perhaps. There's at least an equal amount of beard stroking.
Always.
Well, I chose you because just during our time on the show, your appearances were well received, and also, we've known each other for so many years. We've been very close friends. Andrew's one of the handful of people I'd put in my top list of best friends in the world. He's the guy I'm very close to, and I know your wit, and I know your raw and raunchy sense of humor, and that's kind of what I want to do with the show moving forward. We've focused on wrestling for so long, and we're going to keep focusing on wrestling, but want to have fun. It's not that I wasn't having fun doing the other stuff, but when guys would cancel on you and you'd have to track down a guest at the last second and you had to be producing this content on a weekly basis, you're very much relying on other people. And in this case, I know it's someone I can rely on without a shadow of a doubt to be here, and instead of so many outside guests, which we're still going to have, but it's going to be more focused on our commentary, on the world of wrestling, on the other things that the Potty Humor Network covers here, like horror movies and heavy metal music and comics and conventions and all that great shit. There's just so much to talk about, and I've got so many opinions to share, and the Midnight Black Mass is my forum to do that, and it always has been. So now I've got the creative juices flowing, and I'm ready to rock and roll this thing. So welcome aboard, man.
Man, on one hand, you just said that I'm just a good guy and I'm reliable and I'm there for you. And on the other hand, you said I'm a loser that you're going to be able to get every time you want to talk about something, which which is fine because I like to think that both things are true. I'm a man of many talents, reliable yet not the most exciting life I lead. But that means we can shoot the shit about some stuff. And these podcasts, they're amazing to me. I mean, I listen to them, so I'm one of the many people, but it's just crazy to me that people are going to listen to us just talk.
Hey, they are, there's a whole industry.
Yeah, people are just like, who is this guy? You've got some name recognition, and rightfully so, but they're going to be like, who's this guy he's talking to? Why do we care about his opinion? And I don't know why they do, but hey, I'll share it, and maybe some people agree, some people disagree. I guess that's what makes the world go round. So let's get into it. Let's talk about some shit.
Let's talk about some motherfucking shit. Okay.
Speaking of which, I just tore up some Mexican, and I think we're about to give all new meaning to the words potty humor, because I'm telling you, man, about 3 nachos in, I was feeling it.
Possibly alive shitting, alive on air sharding.
Hey, has that happened? I mean, that's something to Google there. That could be podcast history. But we'll hold out. Maybe, we may need content in episode 6 or 7, so we'll save that.
So, just real quick, because it's something we do on our other podcast here on the Potty Humor Network, Get Your Pulls, but all specifically relating to comic books, and maybe it's not. What are you watching? Where are you getting your inspiration? As a creative guy like myself, who's always trying to be creative, what do you watch? What do you read? What do you listen to? These days, everybody has their rotating cycle, but what is really striking a chord with you right now in the entertainment world that you use for inspiration?
Man, I've never experienced where I'm kind of glad that all of the seasons of the hot TV shows are ending, because I just feel like I need a break. I've kept up with so many shows, like many more shows than I typically have, and I was just feeling so overwhelmed. Like I wasn't even have enough time to watch everything. So I'm just glad there's kind of a break now. I mean, I watched the things that you would assume that I would watch, Flash. I thought the season finale of Flash was awesome, which, I've never been a huge DC Comics follower. Mostly the things I know are either things that you've educated me on or stuff I've seen on the big shows that they do now. But I really enjoyed it. I thought Arrow was awesome. Gotham wrapped up the first season. I loved it. I understand that critics, which I never agree with critics, but people gripe about Gotham, man. They didn't love it. I don't get it. I loved Gotham. What did you think about it?
I thought it was great, especially in the early part of the season, and it finished up pretty strong. I thought it did get kind of sketchy there in the middle. Like, it kind of, I don't know, it kind of felt like it lost direction about midway through the season, but it kind of got back on the rails, and I think they know what they're up against with, like, Daredevil on Netflix, which was just the most fucking amazing thing I've seen all year, probably. And, all these other tremendous shows, Arrow and The Flash, they're doing the superhero thing so fucking well that if Gotham doesn't step up to the plate and compete on that level from a writing perspective and an acting perspective, then they're going to get left in the dust, even though they have possibly the most popular comic book character of all time in their mythos. In Batman. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens for season 2, but I'm very excited about it.
Now, are you basing a lot of that off source material? Because, I mean, I don't know a ton. There would be times I would text you like, who is this guy? Or I would Google, this character. So are you basing it off that? Because I'm kind of going in fresh. It's just, I mean, obviously, I know Batman. I know the Riddler, I know the Joker, I know Penguin, I know these guys that have been in the movies, but some of the lesser known characters, and I know Fish, I guess she was made up for the show, which is fine, because I thought that character, I enjoy that character. So are you basing it off that?
No,
overall, you thought it kind of.
Yeah, Gotham isn't really based off of source material per se. I mean, there's things that are certainly influencing it, You see a bit of Batman Year One from Frank Miller, and a bit of you see a bit of Gotham Central from Brubaker and Greg Rucka and Michael Lark. And you see little influences of things here and there, but there's definitely not one story that they're basing things off of. My thoughts on that would just be like, it seemed to me like they went for way too many unexpected twists and turns, and that was really my only gripe in the middle of the season that weren't really necessary because they ended up really not mattering at the end. But no complaints. I was happy with the show, and I'm excited for season 2 for sure.
Yeah, I felt that the Barbara Gordon, or what's her maiden name? I'm sorry, Barbara
Keane.
Yeah, she's killing people. She's a lesbian. I thought, and I don't care. I mean, I've always been cool with lesbians, but I don't mind any of those things. It just seemed that stuff was kind of forced, like we're going to do something to surprise people,
I thought there was a lot of that.
Yeah, but I mean, I've enjoyed it, and then I watched some other stuff. There's some girly shows I got into. I enjoy Scandal. I enjoy Once Upon a Time. They're kind of more chick-oriented, I guess, but, I mean, I like them. I think there's some really good storytelling, and some of the acting on Scandal I thought was just, it's just really heavy stuff. So I really got into that. And this is some of the other typical stuff. Of course, wrestling, you have to keep up with that a little bit, and there's a lot of WWE content out there with Raw being 3 hours, so sometimes I find myself skipping through some of that, but I'm sure we'll touch on that as we discuss more.
Oh, yeah. I've gotten behind on my wrestling again, but I was up to, like, at least March and had seen, like, recent Ring of Honor and some other stuff, trying to not be the bitter old man or the old man hater, as you're going to hear about in our new segment here later on tonight. But, of course, everybody's raving about it, but NXT has been phenomenal, and the Ring of Honor TV I had seen up until that point was actually pretty good, too. So, wrestling, it's in a real interesting time, and I've said it for months on the show, like, there's definitely change coming. I don't know what it is, but you can feel it in the air, and the business is shifting. There's something different going on. I mean, when you have an era of, like, WWE is now hiring indie guys specifically there. We work with a guy that's been kind of recruited by them, and he was a college athlete, and certainly we heard through the grapevine that they told him, that we're not looking for that type right now. It used to be all they looked for, but we're looking for experienced indie guys, and that's just a weird thing to me. Like, that makes no fucking sense, but I'm not mad about it. I actually think it's very cool. It's just weird.
Yeah, and it's so weird because I've spent just so many years seeing them hire guys, and I'm like, man, how did this person get a job? But the person you're talking about in particular, he's got that collegiate background, and he's very, he's probably had less than 30 matches at this point, but the second match I ever saw him have, his first singles match, I was instantly like, oh, they should sign him. And I've only said that. I thought a lot of guys that we've worked with over the years could have potential and could be good, but I've only thought 2 should definitely get signed, one of which being Phil Shatter, a.k.a. Gunner on TNA Impact Wrestling, and the other being Gunner Miller, coincidentally sharing that name. But so it's really weird that they tell him that just flat out they're not interested. I don't understand that. I don't see why you target a specific type and don't have any interest of anyone outside of that. If there's talent there, whether they're exactly what you're looking for or not, I don't see why you don't. Because they have so many guys. Why are you going to pass on somebody that could make you money and could be an asset more so than people you have on TV, I think, just because they're not what you're looking for. That's I don't understand the thought process all the time at all. I wish I did, but clearly, I mean, they know what they're doing. They're making money despite themselves sometimes, but I wish I got it. I wish I could be on some meetings sit in on meetings and just understand why they're going to say, don't give this person a chance because they're not an indie guy, or don't give this indie guy a chance because they're not a football player that's 6'4", 300 pounds of muscle. I don't understand it, but, that's the business.
It is. They've always gone through cycles like that, and I guess this is the way they do business, and they certainly have the right to do that. But that's always been, it's just never been that experienced indie guys were the flavor of the month. It was,
and they have so many of those now, and I'm not knocking anybody to have, and specifically, some of the talent that's really paid their dues. But I think the internet wrestling community may think that indie guys they're always going to be the best, and they're doing great. A lot of the ones, the guys that have been working, 10 plus years are doing amazing. But I don't think it always just automatically equals success. Perfect example this past week, Kevin Steen made his Raw debut, came out with Cena, got this huge rub, and I thought the segment was great. I thought he did good on the mic, and he belonged, which was kind of shocking to me, but he was in there with the biggest star of the past decade plus and fit right in, but he walked out and he didn't get the reaction that I think maybe people would assume. He got a reaction, just not a huge blow the roof off the building pop. So I think that kind of shows a lot of internet wrestling fans that just will not look at other guys that aren't those skilled workers, quote unquote. But I think it also shows the WWE that guys, when they've had a Daniel Bryan or a CM Punk that got extremely over, it wasn't because they were internet guys. It was because they were just good and they were over. If that makes sense, I don't think being an internet guy automatically makes you a star. And just because some of these guys have gotten hugely over, it's not because they're an internet guy or an indie guy. It's because they're just good at what they do. And sometimes they've been stubborn about that with Daniel Bryan in particular, which is another head scratcher why they don't want to just make now it's a little different with he's had some injuries, but it seems like they would just rack in that cash while they could.
Yeah, that's actually a topic of discussion. One of the big news stories is that Daniel Bryan, one of the biggest stars of the last 5 years at least, has again out on the shelf and could be facing retirement this time. And that's a really fucking huge bummer, to be quite honest. You never want to see that from a guy that young. And he, like you said, he's the guy that people have wanted for them to pull the trigger on, and you don't understand why. And now, well, it doesn't look like it's going to happen anyway.
Yeah, you don't want to see that ever, but it's such a shame when a guy's so good. And I've probably seen a handful of his matches from Ring of Honor and the Indies because I'm not a huge fan of the Ring of Honor style. Not that those guys aren't awesome either, but I just never have been a fan of that style. But that guy's so good. He's clearly so good, and I've known guys that worked with him, and just what you hear, he seems like a legitimately good dude, which you can't always say for everyone. So that's such a shame that may be the case, and he's just busted ass so hard. But I noticed as soon when he came back earlier this year, he was taking bumps and working so hard, and I've seen him take this bump from Luke Harper on SmackDown where he's just totally dumped on his head, and I was instantly like, please stop doing that. Like, why? You need to be just a little more safe, And he's working hard. He's not. He don't want to go out there and half-ass it, which is understandable and admirable, but it's kind of maybe led to kind of the situation he's in now, and hopefully he can come back at least for a couple of years. But you don't want to see this guy hobbling around, not able to walk because of wrestling.
Yeah, and he's a big hippie, he's all for like holistic medicine and avoiding surgeries and stuff. And you know, I'm not a doctor, so I'm just talking out my ass. But you know, you got to wonder if he would have just buckled down and had the surgeries that they told him to get when he got hurt the first time, if he wouldn't be facing this. But you know, that's picking straws at this point.
Yeah, I mean, you can't fight fate. I don't think. I mean, if this is kind of what's supposed to happen, that's the way it's supposed to happen. But yeah, I don't know about the whole natural remedies and things such like that. I think I would just be getting some surgeries if that's what was needed. But I mean, we'll see. Hopefully, it can come back, and hopefully they'll. I think now it kind of is a concern where you don't want to try to have him replace a John Cena because of these type of injuries and stuff. But you know, he's been the most over guy since. I mean, maybe with the exception of Cena. I mean, since Austin, who's been more over than him? The Austins and the Rocks and the Cenas. You know, he's up there with those guys. Maybe not as long term, but in the past, you know, year and a half, 2 years, it's just been insane. And people can try to pinpoint why. Oh, it's just people want to chant, and people like him because he's a good worker. People just like him because they see on TV that other people like him. Who cares? If the guy's making money, I don't care why he's over. The fact is he's over.
Yeah, no doubt at all. Moving along the discussion here, before we get to our next segment, Old Man Haters. There's a couple more topics I wanted to talk about here. Try to get those in about 5 minutes. But, of course, just briefly we'll mention the 10-year anniversary of Anarchy Wrestling that's coming up this weekend in Cornelia, Georgia at the Church of Southern Wrestling. I will not be a part of that, actually. I just will be booked at Empire that night, but just wanted to send my well wishes to the crew down there and tell everybody to keep kicking ass, hopefully for 10 more years. It's been an honor to be a part of that group and be one of the founding factions that really got things going down there, and just it'll always be home. Yeah,
Anarchy, it's interesting because it goes through, I mean, wrestling goes through cycles, but I think Cornelia Wrestling goes through more cycles than wrestling does because it has such a revolving door of talent, most of which has been pretty top-notch talent going back to the Wild Side days. And you just can't deny that system is, I mean, not only has it produced stars and it's produced guys that have went on, but it's just been a place to where you can really, guys can really go to learn and work and pick up just so much stuff. I know I learned most of anything that I may happen to know about wrestling, I probably picked up in that building. I don't know. I haven't been there in a while. I don't know how the system kind of is now. It seems like it's not. It doesn't lean as heavy towards that. I don't know if the guys aren't. Some of the more seasoned guys aren't kind of sticking their hands out to help the younger talent, or what exactly it is. I mean, like I said, it's a roller coaster there of different stuff, but there's still guys there, a lot of seasoned veterans that if you can't learn from, you should absolutely quit the business, you know, because you can't learn if you can't learn from some of the guys there. I don't know how the locker room is now. I don't know how it's changed. But it's awesome that Anarchy itself has been there 10 years. It makes me feel horrible because I was definitely on the first Anarchy show. I wrestled Patrick Bentley in what I'm sure was not a classic Patrick Bentley match, but nonetheless, we had a little match. And it's crazy to think that was 10 years ago, man. I'm getting horribly old, horribly quick. It's depressing. Time flies, though, I guess. But, man, 10 years, it's insane.
It does. The older you get, the fucking faster it goes, too. Jesus.
Absolutely. I mean, that was before they had there was a transition from Wild Side to Anarchy where they didn't have the television, and at first they didn't have that, and luckily they got that back, and like I said, I mean, that's definitely a play. It's the measuring stick in wrestling in Georgia, and most likely in the Southeast. I don't think that's really changed, no matter what has happened. I mean, there's been shows come since Anarchy's inception that have kind of caught people's eye. Luckily, I like to think that our show that we help with, Empire, is one of those. But it's still the show in Georgia that you got to pay attention to, and you got to always look out for. And I consider it home anytime I've ever gone back. I've always been welcomed by, the guys, the talent, the people in charge and stuff. And it has been a while, but it's always got a place in my heart. Definitely is a home base for sure.
Yeah, it absolutely is, and always will be. So, right before we take a commercial break here and go to Old Man Haters, just wanted to plug Empire Wrestling, which is the promotion that Andrew is the matchmaker for, and I'm involved heavily with him as well there, hosting the Revs Midnight Black Mass Live, actually, and doing the commentary for their events. You can check them out at EmpireWrestling.net, on Facebook.com, at Facebook.com/Empire Wrestling, or on Twitter at EmpirePW. Just a quick rundown for upcoming events at Empire. What's the hot shit going on down there?
Man, the next show, May 30th, it's got a real big show feel. Main event with Bobby Hayes versus the aforementioned Gunnar Miller in a kind of sort of a tooth and nail 4 rematch, which was our biggest event of the year that happened in early April. It was scheduled to be Bobby Hayes versus Ace Rockwell in the number 1 contendership match, and Ace Rockwell suffered the unfortunate injury to his eye. Gunnar Miller come out kind of defending his honor because Ace Rockwell trained him, and kind of got a quick pin. It was a weird situation where Bobby Hayes challenged anyone. Gunnar Miller comes out in his jeans and a T-shirt and spears Bobby Hayes out of his boots and gets a quick victory, but we're going to have the official number 1 contendership match. Matt Fortune, the Empire Junior Heavyweight title, defending the title against Johnny Viper. Johnny Viper got a non-title victory the last show, so giving him a shot at that. A lot of the White Rose in action, Chip Day and Ryan Vega versus Corey Cox and Mr. Sports Entertainment, which, I mean, his name says it all. You've got to see this guy to believe him. He's entertaining, to say the least. Double Dragons versus Team IOU for the Empire Tag Team titles. Team IOU, great tag team out of Nashville. Not only great workers, great wrestlers, but extremely entertaining guys. And it's just this is going to be a big show for sure. And we're going to have 2 weeks off in June, the first 2 weeks of June, because of some festivities and some festivals going on in the Chattanooga area. We've decided to take those off so the fans are not forced to choose and everybody can enjoy that. And then we'll be back the last 2 Saturdays in June and going into our next mega event, July 11th, Crazy from the Heat, which if it's anything like last year's Crazy from the Heat, it's going to be insane because that show featured a 4-team ladder match to start the show and then a classic between Ace Rockwell and Sean Tempers that went right at 45 minutes. That was arguably the best pure wrestling match that I've ever seen in person. It was amazing. So that's what we're gearing towards. And again, that's July 11th. Crazy from the Heat. It's going to be huge.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to be there and be a part of it, and we hope you will too, fans. But right after this commercial break, we'll be back with the debut of a new segment. We're going to get out our cranky pants, and we're going to pull them up real high and push up our glasses because it's going to be time for Old Man Haters. Don't go anywhere.
Where can you find 24/7 pro wrestling, MMA, talk radio, and more? BeyondRingside.com, featuring 24/7 streaming audio, including the Midnight Black Mass, Sundays at 11 p.m. Eastern Time, except for pay-per-view weekends when they run a mini marathon and the Midnight Black Mass goes on as its namesake at midnight. But don't forget the other great shows like Beyond Ringside, Wrestle Rage, To be determined and more. That's beyondringside.com. Hey kids, get your official Midnight Black Mass merchandise just in time for Halloween at midnightblackmass.spreadshirt.com. Be the coolest ghoul on the block with your brand new Reject or Midnight Black Mass t-shirt. Get them exclusively online. Online exclusive, people. midnightblackmass.spreadshirt.com.
In this age of technology, appearance can make or break your franchise. Need to stand out in the crowd? ForceFX is proud to work with each and every customer to bring them exciting new designs to reinvent their brand. Satisfaction guaranteed. Custom innovative logos can leave a lasting impression and add just the professional touch needed for you or your business to truly thrive. Let us help you grow with your own custom logo, starting out at the incredibly low price of $25. ForceFX knows how to advertise. If you need flyers, business cards, web pages, promos, billboards, signs, or anything else designed differently and expertly, we can help. Send a message today with what you have in mind, and together we can create exactly what you need. The best designs, the best deals, designed differently. ForceFX. Find out more at facebook.com/ForceFXDesigns or call 423-637-8784. Oh man, why do you hate everything new? Partly because I don't understand it, and partly because fuck you. It's time for Old Man Haters.
What's wrong with you?
It's either this show or indigestion. I hope it's indigestion.
Why?
It'll get better in a little while.
And we're back. As you heard, this is Old Man Haters. And what this segment's all about is we need a place to express our frustrations. There was the Rev's rant previously on Volume 5, where I would sort of express what was bothering me, but no one can express their discontent that I know quite like Andrew Alexander. So we're just going to bring up a few topics in the world of wrestling, pop culture, nerd culture, all the things we cover here on Potty Humor. And we're going to bitch about them. So hopefully it'll be entertaining.
Hopefully.
So, I want you to be as surly as possible. Get in your most surly frame of mind. The first topic was recently a celebration worldwide of the phenomenon known as Star Wars, which has been a huge part of my life, going back to small childhood. Been a fan of one of the first movies I ever saw, first of all, but they stuck with me and still to this day have really formed who I am as a person in terms of the concepts and the characters and in terms of the lessons that are taught there. And I'm not talking about those shitty prequels from the 2000s, but we'll get to there. But the original Star Wars trilogy and a lot of the expanded canon, it's always spoke to me. But of course, it spoke to a lot of people because May 4th, the stupid pun is May the 4th be with you. Ah, ha, 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 we get it. But people have taken that and embraced that and made this worldwide celebration of their love for Star Wars. So what I want to bitch about here are the May 4th hipsters, the people that are too fucking cool to show that they love Star Wars because they love it too much, because they claim to be the biggest fans, you see. Yet they hate May the 4th because all of these noobs who don't like Star Wars in the normal day-to-day life jump on the bandwagon, and it upsets them. It's like, you can't play with my toys is kind of what it feels like to me. Your thoughts?
Oh yeah, I agree with you completely. I don't understand these people. I mean, Star Wars is awesome. Everyone knows that. And if there's anyone that doesn't, maybe May the 4th be with you. Maybe that's something they see on social media and they want to know what the big deal is. So maybe they'll break down and watch a movie. And of course they're going to love it. Of course they're going to get hooked. And that's a good thing. That's one of those things that it's something that everyone should see. You know, there's not a whole lot that I think I would put on that list, but Star Wars, especially the first trilogy, that's movies that every human being should see. And you don't have to love them to the point where you're doing cosplay and getting Star Wars tattoos and carrying around lightsabers, but I think everyone would enjoy them at least to a degree. And what's the big deal? Why? When did dorks and nerds like us get so so controlling that we feel that now we're the super cool people because we like Star Wars and everyone wants on our bandwagon? Like, I've never felt like, oh, no one else can like comic books or wrestling or anything that I consider my thing. I'm all for people like that. I like to talk to people that can discuss it and that I can educate and say, oh, did you know this and did you know that? I don't see the big deal. I don't like people like that.
Another reason to make a human connection with somebody. It's something that you can bond over with a stranger that you have in common. I just don't understand where all these guys, and like a lot of them, a good majority are your fucking like sexless, neck-bearded, living in their mother's basement type of guys who are younger than us. A lot of the hipster generation, mainly the early 20s, mid-20s guys, are the ones doing this. And it's like those movies made $1 million before you were fucking born, dipshit.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly. You
don't fucking own fandom. It belongs to everybody.
Exactly. Hipsters are I find hipsters very interesting. I want to create a hipster tag team in wrestling. I think that would get such great heat. I don't want to create it. I would like to find two actual hipsters that just happen to be in the wrestling business and just say, go be hipsters. I do find them
they
interesting.
Can offer people kale chips.
I mean, just go full. I mean, have them wrestle in their weird hats and their flannel shirts, and they can carry their expensive coffee to the ring. Just hipsters in general. I just find them interesting. I don't want to hate on them because that's kind of what they do. That's kind of exactly what we're griping about. I just find them intriguing.
Yeah, exactly. Like, do your thing, man. Yeah, do your thing, but I don't have to understand it.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I don't care about I don't get offended by too much. I don't care about what people are doing. If it makes them happy, that's fine. But I just find them very, very intriguing, a group of people. It's kind of a new thing. Like, when did hipsters when did this become a thing? Like, who coined the phrase hipsters? That's something to look up there.
I don't think if you ask someone to define the word hipster that they could.
Yeah, it's hard to define. Like, I could see one and say, I think that's a hipster. But
right.
How do you put it into words?
Hey, I don't know. I'm stumped. I don't know that I can define it.
Yeah, I know. It's something you know when you see, but it is hard to define. And I mean, it's like people in general. We're all different. We've all got our things. We've all got things that other people would see and be like, "Oh, that's weird." I think it's hard to say what's weird.
Yeah, it is. And I've certainly got my own quirks, so who am I to judge in the end? But still, as my right tonight, as an old man hater, I will say, fuck you to the May 4th hipsters. And moving right along.
Absolutely.
The next topic up here, which ties in, actually, because you see a lot of the hipster activity on the old social media. And the next topic is misuse of social media, which has been a recurring theme on the show. But in this case, the damn sad sacks, man. Like, I just don't understand. Like, social media is this place where it's like you meet somebody at a party, and you're like, oh man, that's a cool guy. Like, before social media existed, like you would see that guy, in public or maybe at another party or somewhere else, and you would still maintain the image that, oh, I talked to that guy one time, he was cool, everything's great, he must be a decent human being, and then you befriend him on Facebook, and then all the shit flies out the window at that point, because these people, I just don't understand the constant need to post every detail of your life, especially when it's like sad. And I guess maybe it's a cry for help or attention, but I don't know that that's the forum for it. That's what gripes my ass about it.
I think there's a fine line. I think if you have something that's weighing on you and you want to throw it out there and you want people to, maybe it is a cry for help. Maybe you want people to offer some advice, or maybe you just want to maybe help someone else that might be going through something similar. That's cool. But the people that it's all they're able to do, like how could you be? I don't know many people that are more miserable and bitter than me. But shit, I'm happy sometimes. Good Lord. Why are these people constantly just, it's everything negative, I see this on Facebook and I'm just like, man, I guess, how am I still following this person? I need to get this negativity out of my life because it's just so much. And maybe it is attention. But it's the wrong attention, because most people are like me and you discussing right now saying, good Lord, did you see what so-and-so posted? They're so sad and miserable and upset over everything,
And it's like, of course, immediately when somebody posts something like this, like a million people are going to, like, comment, like, I am here if you need to talk. Like, so clearly they had people that supported them enough that would be there to volunteer to talk to them if they were in a time of duress. So I just don't, like, to me, and maybe it's just, like, the way my demeanor is as a person, but it's like, to me, that's like showing weakness to your enemy. That's like putting a little blood in the water for the sharks, and I don't roll like that, man.
Oh, that's a great point, and I think, I don't know. I'm a little more particular about who I would want to discuss real. If something was really on my mind, do I want to share it with 500 strangers? 500 people that I don't really know, that if walked into a room, I'd be like, oh, I think that guy's on my friends list. And I'm only on Facebook. I don't have a Twitter. I mean, I have an Instagram. I look at it, but it's mainly for nerdy comic stuff and porn stars and models and things such as that. But, there's so much social media, and people people are, I don't know, they're abusing it. People are going crazy. I don't get it.
It's just become quite a toilet. I mean, social media is the toilet of the internet, especially Facebook. Twitter is its own thing, and it certainly, it can be a toilet, especially when, like, the men's rights activists start attacking people and the nasty racist people start calling the president an N-word and things like that. But usually Twitter's pretty cool from my experience. It's been okay.
Oh, I think because there's a limit on how much you can say in a single message, So, because usually if someone's going to gripe, like we're doing now, it's going to be long-winded in a tirade. So maybe Twitter, you don't get as much as that because they put a limit on what you can say. But there's something else you just touched on, this how sensitive just everyone is. If somebody posts something on Facebook and then someone on their friends list just hates them for it, and there's this drama and people arguing over comments, and it's entertaining from the outside. Anytime I see that, I read it, and I instantly beat myself up about it, saying, why am I reading this? Why am I treating this like it's some reality show on E? But I still do it. I'm guilty of it. But it's so ridiculous. People fighting, these keyboard warriors, and it's so crazy.
The passive aggressive status wars. Where one guy's like, somebody was saying this. Of course, they never named the person by name, but then the other guy clearly, who they were naming, posted the response status. Well, somebody can suck my fucking dick.
Yeah, I would love to. I would love for someone to tag them and say, "Hey, you suck. I hate you, and this is why." At least that takes some balls and is a little more brave, because you're not taking the high road by posting a huge status calling someone out without calling them out. That's not the high road. You're still.
Okay, but time to move along in the program. We've got some very entertaining stuff for you coming up. I'm going to take a commercial break right quick. We're coming back with our brand new game show. It's going to be a weekly installment here, Promo or Porno, coming up right after this commercial.
Wrestling fans, Anarchy Wrestling television tapings are the second and fourth Saturdays of every month at 4236 Level Grove Road in Cornelia, Georgia. For more information on Anarchy Wrestling and on the shows, to watch the television product, and a whole lot more, go to anarchy-wrestling.net. That's Anarchy Wrestling, the second and fourth Saturdays of every month in Cornelia, Georgia.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to America's favorite game show, Promo or Porno.
And we're back on the Midnight Black Mass, and you have joined us in the middle of Promo or Porno, the game show where working stiff is a good thing. I'm your host, Ram Dan Wilson, with our co-host, Mr. Andrew Alexander, and our guest, the contestant on this week's edition of Promo or Porno, playing for a $50 gift certificate to WatchingMyMomGoBlack.com, the founding father of the Potty Humor Network, the great Muji Grant. How's it going, Muji?
It's going pretty good. I'm really excited about playing the game. No innuendo there.
Man, you're telling me the first episode of Promo or Porno, you have a ringer on here. There's no way Muji's going to lose this.
Well, we have to test it out. Of course, if it's a dud and if it's a gigantic failure and the audience completely rejects it, then we probably won't go forward. So a safe bet was to bring on the founding father, much like Chris Hardwick does with Tom Lennon at midnight, who's the producer of that show. We bring on the great Muji. So I'm excited to explain to our audience what the game is. We will play an audio clip for our contestant, and that audio clip could be from the world of pornography, or it could be from the world of professional wrestling. Often the two are not quite that different, and certainly not as different as one would imagine. So it's a single elimination type of game. If you get all the questions right, we may even throw in a fourth bonus question for maybe a little extra on that gift card beyond the $50. But what we'll do is, if you get them all right, of course, you're the winner, and you take home the grand prize. So here we go. Are you ready to play, Muji?
I'm pretty ready. I mean, I would have to say, if you could get a degree for watching wrestling, I would say that I have a bachelor's, but I definitely have a master's in watching porn, so I'm pretty well here.
So this could be a big night for you. Here we go. Our first clip. Drum roll, please.
I'm going to come on you like nobody's ever come on you before.
Muji?
That's got to be wrestling.
That is correct. You are correct. That was the legendary Magnum TA getting a little tongue twisted there, apparently, but he was about to get his ass whipped by the Four Horsemen, so I suppose that's understandable.
I love how Muji only heard, "I'm going to come on you," and he is instantly like, "Oh, that's got to be wrestling."
It was just a southern accent. You don't see a lot of pornos where it's a guy that sounds like he's in the South in 1985.
That's true, because if you did, I
I
wouldn't be sitting here talking to you.
We will continue the theme with our next clip. Here we go.
It gets bigger when I pull on it. Sometimes I pull on it so hard, I rip the skin.
That's pretty messed up, no matter which one it is. That really sounds like I don't see anybody watching that and really being turned on, so I'm going to say promo again. Wow. That's from a porno?
That is from a very popular gay porn clip on YouTube.
I didn't know there was gay porn in this. I didn't read the rules.
Come on, Muji. You know if you want to get into porn, you've got to go through gay porn first.
That's true. Some of the best did. That's paying your dues. You got to paying your dues. A little bit tougher in the porn biz than the wrestling biz.
I don't know. Wrestling and porn goes hand in hand. That's how you pay your dues, and you always end up getting fucked.
That's very true. And also, when you get into porn and when you get into wrestling, you generally end up having to work for a lot of gay men starting out. So there you go.
Man, that's a shame that Muji doesn't get that gift card to watchingmymomgoblack.com. Luckily, I know for a fact that Muji already has a membership to that site, so I think he'll be okay.
Well, that's the only one that you can exclusively see Lex the Impaler on, right? Am I right?
I'm sure.
The greatest porn name of all time.
Oh, already a riches has promo or porno brought us here in entertainment alone, if not into Muji's porno bank. However, I will go ahead and play the final clip just to try to save some face here and redeem himself. The great Muji can answer this final clip. We'll go for it right here.
They think their sweat doesn't stink. They think they're glamour girls. We think they suck. We think they're sluts. I love to eat anything I can get my mouth on. People don't fuck with us. Because if you fuck with us, we'll get our friends on you.
Where the fuck did you find these clips? I'm going to have to say, I hate to guess the same thing every time, but is that a promo?
It is.
Okay.
You are correct. Muji saved space.
What is that a promo
an independent. It was an independent female wrestling promo. Looked to be from around the mid-'90s. It looks possibly up around the Northeast somewhere. It was on a compilation of the most outlandish and politically incorrect wrestling promos of all time. So, as you can see, I've been doing my homework to prepare all of the great clips for promo or porno, and I've gone very deep into the well.
This game is kind of tough because that second one, though I would have got it right, it was a tough question. That third one, I would have got wrong because I was thinking porno.
I just figured my thought on the third one was when she referred to the glamour girls, I was like, if there's going to be a gangbang, you usually don't give, like, the group a title. It's just like, the girls are coming over, or my pals, like, you're usually, like, oh, the glamour girls, and everybody's like, oh, gangbang time. I don't think that's usually how it goes in porn.
Well, I'm a big fan of this game show already.
I think we have a hit on our hands, gentlemen.
I do believe the glamour girls put that in the bank. If the business ever happens, if Copter Boys ever happens, glamour girls, it's the newest site.
We'll have to go into depth of what the Copter Boys are at another episode, but because this could really get us that push we need for the Copter Boys to take off. And we can finally see our the greatest porn site of all time be launched. Seduced by a Luger, starring Lex Luger.
It's going to be tough these days.
Well, there you have it, folks. Promo or Porno. The great Muji, of course, is also the co-host of Get Your Pulls. He's the lead host, actually, with myself and Jeremy Stewart and Todd Johnson in tow. Plugging the world of comic books. We're talking. I should be very careful about how I use the phrase plugging anything in this segment, but we talk about the world of comic books from movies, television, and the actual printed versions, that what we love so much. But you definitely need to check out Get Your Pulls. Also here on the Potty Humor Network, youtube.com/Potty Humor, another one of our fine Potty Humor broadcasts. Any final words this week, Muji?
No. I'm here all alone, so I guess I'm going to go watch some promos. Bye.
Promos, right.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
So, Promo or Porno is in the books. Very happy with the way that went. Going to take another brief commercial break, and we're going to be right back with our final segment this week. Going to a little bit of romantic advice. We're consulting the great the great czar of romantic advice, Casanova in his own right, our co-host, Mr. Andrew Alexander, for a brand new segment called Dear Andy, coming right up.
The Midnight Black Mass is pleased to announce we have become an affiliate of the World Wrestling Network at wwnlive.com, the home of the finest iPay-per-view and video on demand in all of professional wrestling, featuring promotions like Dragon Gate USA, Evolve, Combat Zone Wrestling, OVW, Shimmer, Shine, $5 Wrestling, and the vaunted Kayfabe commentaries with their You Shoot, their guest booker, and their timeline series. You have to check it out. Of course, you can always go to their main page at wwnlive.com, but if you will, do us a solid, go to facebook.com/pottyhumor or follow me on Twitter at Dragons Rejects. We'll be posting our own unique links to these events as affiliates. If you go through our link, they give us a little kickback, and we greatly appreciate it.
Whether you're having an autograph session, personal appearance, or live event, we got just the person you need to contact for all of those needs. SBI Bookings is home of some of the best stars in the wrestling industry today. They provide you with the best talent this business has to offer, from Kevin Nash, Larry Zbyszko, Scott Steiner, and many, many more. So who will you contact next time you're planning an event? The men of SBI Bookings. Check them out at sbibookings.com.
And we're back on the Midnight Black Mass. Volume 6 is on its way to gaining its own identity. It's been something we talked about. It was going to be very different from all of the previous volumes of the program. It was going to be something that we still focused on wrestling. As you can see, we talked a lot about wrestling earlier in the show, but we've certainly gone off the rails as we fully expected to do with our official game show, Porno or Promo, with our guest, the great Muji, who came up short in his efforts to attain that big gift card to watchingmymomgoblack.com. So the tougher the questions, the less money the game's going to cost me, right?
Yeah, it's going to save you some money.
Hey, I'm a former wrestling promoter.
And I can't believe he didn't win. I just really thought that Muji had that in the bag. Because I'm on watchingmymomgoblack.com. These guys don't hold back. I mean, these moms are going black.
It lives up to what it's advertising, are you saying?
It certainly does.
Well, there you have it. We provide the best prizes here on the Midnight Black Mass. So if you want to be a contestant on Promo or Porno, email me at dragonsrejects@gmail.com. We will try to get you on the show as time permits. We've already got a waiting list lining up of people who want to be a part of Promo or Porno. So now it's time for a brand new segment to wrap up the program this week on the Midnight Black Mass.
He's left dozens of women sexually unfulfilled. He's not on speaking terms with any of his ex-lovers. He will unquestionably die alone.
Dear Andy.
That's right. Our resident Lothario and co-host, Mr. Andrew Alexander, is going to be doling out romantic advice to the lonely hearts out there in radio land. Andrew, I understand that women track you down like bloodhounds. They have an insatiable need to find out what you think about their romantic situation. And I understand that you've already gotten questions lined up for this before we've even advertised it. So why don't you fill us in?
Yeah, I sent out a few feelers just to try to get a question for the debut segment of Dear Andy, and received what I believe is a doozy, someone who really needs some advice. The letter starts, Dear Andy, which is a strong opening. I recently started dating a guy that I just met. Things are going well, but there's just one problem. I'm friends with a guy, and I'm afraid it will make my boyfriend jealous. There's always been some sexual tension with this friend, but nothing has ever really happened. We're strictly friends. My question is, how should I go about letting him know that we can't really be friends anymore? I could probably text him when my boyfriend isn't around, but then I'm afraid he will text me randomly when he is around, and my BF will get mad. What should I do? Sincerely, Conflicted in Chattanooga, a local, kind of out of our home base of Chattanooga, Tennessee, a local girl needing some advice. So I don't know if you picked up on some of the key words there, Rev, but the first sentence, I recently started dating a guy that I just met. And this young lady has just met this person and is more than willing to kick her quote-unquote friend to the side because she doesn't want to make this guy jealous. I don't even know where to start with this lady. Okay, Conflicted. I don't think you're very good friends with this person if you're willing to just completely ignore them because of some guy you just met. You're worried that he's going to get jealous. You clearly stated that nothing sexually has ever happened. There's been no romantic situations with you and this friend. Why would your boyfriend get jealous? What does he have to be jealous about? Who cares if your friend texts you randomly when your boyfriend's there? I got to tell you, I don't care. I don't care for the letter that she wrote in, Rev.
Interesting. Yeah, go ahead.
Yep. No, what's your take? What do you? I mean, I know I got some things I want to say, but what's your take on this?
Like, it's a clear lack of communication and honesty on all parties. As someone who's been in my share of terrible relationships and who's also been in a really good one for going on a really long time now, the secret to that is communication. And I don't think it's right to kick a friend to the curb. Sometimes that happens naturally, but it's not something that you should do because you just met this dude. If he's that insecure, then you got problems there already. You're already starting off on a bad foot in this relationship. That's my take.
Exactly. I couldn't agree more. For starters, if this guy's jealous, this relationship already doesn't have a future to me. I don't understand why he would be jealous and why this girl would care if he's jealous. If they're having a good relationship, like she stated, there should be no problem here. She should trust him and he should trust her, and especially until there's a reason not to. They've started dating and there's already no trust. So that's kind of ignoring the situation that is really at hand with her wanting to just get rid of her friend, who she says she could probably text him when the boyfriend isn't around. That's dishonest right there. Why would you even need to text him when the boyfriend isn't around? I think that she should probably be careful because she probably doesn't have a plethora of friends just lying around to begin with. And most likely, you've got a friend here. Maybe he's been your friend a month, a year, maybe 10 years. You're wanting to push this guy to the side, completely remove him from your life, from a guy you just met who could be gone next week. And then you're going to be crawling back to the friend of yours, looking for advice, looking for a shoulder to cry on. And I personally hope that the guy isn't there, because why should he be there for you when you can't even be there to have a conversation with him because you're afraid your boyfriend's going to get jealous? What's the saying, Rev? The toes you step on the way up may be attached to the ass you kiss on the way down. Is that the saying?
It's an often said saying here on this program.
Well, that's good, because now we have a new one. The balls you step on the way up may be attached to the dick that you have to suck on the way down. So I think Miss Conflicted in Chattanooga may want to be careful, because she may need this friend of hers around in the future.
Yeah, and for the guy that's in the relationship, the new boyfriend, that type of behavior is not going to bring you any happiness either, because if somebody wants to cheat on you, they're gonna, and there's nothing you can do about it. So you have to actually develop that relationship with someone that you can trust, that trusts you implicitly, and until you actually do that, you're not going to be successful. It's going to be a nitpicky game of backstabbing and lies.
Absolutely correct. If someone wants to cheat on you, they're going to. It means they clearly don't really care about you or your feelings. They don't want you around. And if they can't smell your qualifications, then who needs them? So my advice is, this relationship's going nowhere. It's going to be one of those situations that you see all the time. This girl's probably going to be extremely dramatic on Facebook, and this thing's going to be aired out for everyone to see, the dirty laundry. And some poor guy that's just trying to be a decent friend, who's just kind of in the background, is just going to get totally shit on by some chick because she can't be honest with him. Yeah, he may be on the hook. Yes, he could very well be on the hook trying to get in there, which he doesn't even need this. If I was this chick, I would be honest and tell the guy that, look, I can't be your friend because I'm an idiot and I make poor choices and I'm picking this guy that probably won't be around in 6 months over you. But she's probably not going to say that. She's probably just going to ignore him and try to disappear. So I'm not a fan of hers at all, and I don't want to scare our listeners into in any advice, whether it be male or female. But I'm definitely not going to tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you my opinion and what I think to be true. And I think that this situation, I think that she would be doing the friend a favor by just being straight up and honest and ditching him, because she's not a good friend to begin with.
There you have it. I mean,
in layman's
couldn't
terms,
said it better.
In layman's terms, fuck her. And if anyone needs any advice, whether it be male or female, no subject too deep, no subject too shallow, the email address is AskAndyMBM, which stands for Midnight Black Mass, @hotmail.com. AskAndyMBM@hotmail.com.
There you go. As simple as that, and you too can get the romantic advice you need to make the choices for happiness in your life. And what did you think about that? A black mass where happiness is the order of the day, because we never cease to surprise you and we never cease to amaze you here on the Potty Humor Network. But we did add one thing here in this episode that has been sorely missing, that is a part of most Midnight Black Masses, and that would be sex. And there was sex aplenty in Promo or Porno, which will be coming back next week. Also, our dear friend and family member, Compound, Elite, Devil's Rejects, Hall of Famer, Tank, has been taking the internet by storm over the last couple of days with his new Jeff Foxworthy-inspired bit, You Might Be a Shitbird. And so we're going to try to get Tank on here, at least on a semi-regular basis, to give some live You Might Be a Shitbird. I think that would be quite enjoyable. How about yourself?
I can't wait. He's really hit a home run with this, and he's hitting the nails on the head. Why don't you explain to everyone real quick, maybe the brief definition of a shitbird?
This would this would definitely be more geared to those in the wrestling industry, but I think anyone who's familiar with entertainment can appreciate what he's going for here. A shitbird, and certainly, hey, we've all been shitbirds at a time, so he's very self-depreciating in this as well. He's trying to kind of poke light at some of the things wrong with the wrestling industry while not taking himself too seriously, and that kind of is what has been so entertaining about it. But a shitbird would be a stain on the wrestling industry, someone who just clearly, at least at that point in time in their career, doesn't belong, or they're doing something that just outright slaps people in the face as to the reality of what they're paying money to see, whether it be a guy showed up in his work clothes, as one of his previous anecdotes stated, to wrestle a match, and he's got a pot belly and his arms look like garden snakes, and he's the world champion of some place in bumfuck Tennessee. So that's kind of what a shitbird is, and Tank has an eloquent way of describing them, and you have to hear it.
As only Tank can, and I think the biggest thing about a shitbird, especially someone who is a long-term shitbird, is they don't know they are. They have no clue that what they do is a slap in the face to other professional wrestlers and fans and anyone that's ever been involved in the wrestling business. That's the key factor, is they think that they are truly a superstar, and they think Vince McMahon should be calling them any minute now.
I think psychiatrists would have a field day with outlaw wrestling performers. I think that now, granted, most of those folks unfortunately couldn't afford the fees of a psychiatrist. Hell, I can't afford to pay him a psychiatrist. But I think they would have a field day.
Oh, definitely. Maybe. What if we reached out and got some shitbirds to be on the show? I mean, I think I'm practically a psychiatrist now. I gave that great love advice. I'm clearly professionally trained. I think maybe I could help discuss why this shitbird is a shitbird and really, really open their eyes.
I don't know if those eyes necessarily want to be opened, but I'm certainly open to it. If you think you're a shitbird and want to find out why, let us know. Ask Andy, MBM, at hotmail.com, and we'll try to get you on.
Yes, and I would have a lot of respect for someone who could honestly admit that they were a shitbird and maybe wanted to make some changes in their life and professional wrestling career to be less of a shitbird. I think that's the first step, is admitting that you have a problem.
Romantic advice, self-help. What more could you want in addition to all of the great professional wrestling talk? And, of course, the guests aren't going anywhere. They're just going to be more spread out. So most of the shows are going to be just myself and Andrew talking about all the various items that we've got to talk about, and the guests will be sporadic. There'll be a different guest each week for the promo or porno, and we'll certainly get back to doing some interviews. We've got some ideas for some top 5 and top 10 segments where we bring on knowledgeable folks in professional wrestling and talk about ranking their favorites of all time. That's going to be fun. So much more. I'm very happy this turned out the way it did. I want to give a big plug to Force FX, who created the wonderful new graphic that you can see over at our YouTube page, youtube.com/pottyhumor, facebook.com/pottyhumor. Follow me on Twitter at Dragons Rejects. You can find all of the information there, but Force FX coming on as a sponsor to help with the presentation of the Midnight Black Mass and the Potty Humor Network. You look fantastic in the poster, if I must say.
Thank you. I think the poster alone, if anyone's wondering why should I take love advice from this jackass, I think you look at this flyer made by Force FX and you know this guy knows what he's talking about. Absolutely. And I'm the one on the left. I'm the one on the left. I don't know if we need to specify.
I think the voices alone would probably give that up to someone who is uninitiated, but you never know.
You do never know. Well, I want to thank you for inviting me to be a part of the Black Mass. This is a real honor. Aside from being on your show and being on a couple other podcasts, I have no experience, and you hitting me up out of the blue and asking me to be a part of it, that's really cool, and I'm glad to be on the team.
Yeah, that's it, man. And it's not that I wasn't having fun anymore on the previous incarnation where we were just doing the straight wrestling interviews, but it wasn't tapping into my creative juices. This is sort of, as I've explained many times, Midnight Black Mass is my creative playground. It's where I really get to apply myself and feel like I'm putting something out there into the ether that hopefully people can enjoy, and thank you to those who have let us know that you do. But now here on Volume 6, like I said, we're going for something totally different. We're kind of trying to branch out into that greater field of entertainment while still trying to hold on a bit to the identity of being people who are involved in and have spent a long time both as a fan of and a participant in the world of professional wrestling. I'm glad you're here, man. You've given us a whole new perspective. You've helped save my breath a little bit because I don't have to talk near as much. This is awesome. So absolutely, thanks again, man, for becoming a part of this.
No, thank you. I'm excited going forward. Volume 6 is going to be awesome. I think I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully, it lives up to the previous podcasts that you've done. Hopefully, your established fans, or hopefully they don't hate me or shit on me too much. I think I'm a shitbird.
Hey, how the tables would be turned then, pal.
Oh man, I know.
Well, it's been a magnificent episode, folks. We're out of time. We'll be back next week. You can catch the broadcast debut Sunday nights, 11 p.m. Eastern Time on the Beyond Ringside Radio Network at beyondringside.com. It'll go up shortly thereafter on demand. You can search us on iTunes or Stitcher by searching Potty Humor. You can, again, find me on Twitter at Dragons Rejects. The Facebook page is facebook.com/Potty Humor. Again, that YouTube page is youtube.com/Potty Humor. That is all for this week's edition of the Midnight Black Mass. For Andrew Alexander, I am the Reverend. Keep one foot in the gutter, one fist in the gold, two horns in the air, and if somebody crosses you, a foot in that ass. Good night.
This has been a production of the Potty Humor Network. Find us online at youtube.com/Potty Humor or subscribe to us weekly and never miss an episode by searching Potty Humor on iTunes or Stitcher. Thank you for listening and good night.